Welcome, welcome, welcome to the daily grind, the sad day. I don't have as much energy as I did yesterday because, quite frankly, yesterday was we were so excited. But
Yeah.
I'm your host, Mark. I got Luke with me as always. Um, but today we go from yesterday being so excited about what we could hope for to today. Um, yeah. So if you're living under a rock, look, if you're living under a rock and you don't know what we're talking about, Ja Morant uh, tore his labrum, will be out for the season. Um, he is a 5 to 7 month recovery period for Ja Morant. Should be good to go for next season. Should be, it's an injury that is not, it's not your knee, it's not your Achilles, which is good, I guess, if you're talking about silver linings, I guess. But yeah, so full show for you guys today. We'll talk about Ja Morant in the first segment, some silver linings. So we want to try to put a positive spin on it in the second segment, and then obviously tonight the Grizzlies still got a game.
Yeah.
They still got to play basketball with or without Ja Morant, and they'll take on the Mavericks on the road tonight. So, Luke, we did a show last night. Me and Daniel and Nate hopped on last night and did a show. Discuss some initial reactions. You weren't there. You were out and about. So let's get what's your initial reaction on the Ja Morant news off the top?
Man, my gut reaction was that of anger and disappointment. Just not at Ja or the not nothing he did. Just at the way the training staff has just supposedly threw another weird injury in front of us and didn't really. I was just angry initially at another injury that was not mishandled but miscommunicated with us or not clearly just an up in the air injury. That was my first my first reaction. Second reaction, I was just bummed. I had talked to myself in the moves that we should make to make a run. I was fully into, yeah, man, we're gonna get that 9 seed, we're gonna get that 10 seed, and we're gonna win 2, get in the play in, get an 8 seed, and be the team that nobody wants to see. I had talked myself into that narrative, and it's just a bummer. It's just like a lost season is never good ever. I mean, it's tough to spin that as a positive thing, and I just feel bad for him, man. Like I'm disappointed for him because I know that that's not the ending he had to his season. It just sucks all the way around. Just sucks.
Yeah, it's Nate used the word devastating last night in his reaction, and I think that's a pretty good description because it is it is devastating. Like I said, I feel bad for Ja. It sucks to have it, spending all the games out, not playing since whatever April, something like that.
Yeah.
And then coming back and then getting that too, and like you said, I mean, to be clear, the press release said that this happened in a training session, and I don't know what you're doing in a training session that caused you to have a torn labrum.
Yeah.
But what are you doing in a training session? So this would have happened Saturday morning. That would have been after the Lakers game. Like, what are you doing in a training session where you feel like
in a way they weren't even here?
Yeah, on an away road trip but the day in between games. Like, you shouldn't be doing anything. If you're anything, you're doing a walkthrough, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the real story is. There's obviously going to be a lot of speculation, and so I don't know what that real story is. But whatever it is, if I will say this, if you are holding a session where you're training in the morning, Saturday morning in between 2 games where you really don't need to be doing anything other than resting, and you're going full contact or full speed, that's on the staff, the coaching staff. Like, that is absolutely dreadful, right? So I don't know. Again, I don't want to speculate. I have no idea what happened. None of us do. But all they said is that it happened in a training session, which, this Grizzlies training staff has they got serious problems. I mean, I don't know. I think there's some luck involved there too, like bad luck. But at the same time, like, enough. I mean, it happens so often, right? Like, you got to have to start asking questions at some point, like what is wrong? And I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like, a lot of attribute to a lot of things, just bad luck. And I get that. But at the same time, like, there is a certain point where it doesn't make a whole lot of sense of how you have this many injuries. I don't know. Maybe it is just bad luck, and I'm just looking for I'm looking for an excuse. I don't know.
To be this consistent with poor injury handling news is weird. Like going back to the Steve-O shit, to Kennard's bone bruise in his knee that I still haven't seen. Like it's just I just don't understand the caginess that we or the it's like you were saying, like, what the hell are we doing between games in like not at our home training facility going so hard that happens.
Yeah.
And if that's not what happened, then what are they lying about?
It's just a weird. Daniel said he thinks it was a workout. Even so, I would. It's just kind of weird. I know they work out all season and they do these things. It's just kind of weird thing to do in between games. You would think they would have that day off, but again, we don't know. We're just kind of throwing things around. We don't know. But the long and short of it is that Ja Morant's out. It sucks for him. Sucks for the Grizzlies. There's no way around this. Going forward, how does this change the Grizzlies season?
Well, for me, you can't be playing for. I don't think you're playing for the postseason anymore. I think you're playing to see what these guys got in them, these young kids. I think you give guys like when I'll talk about this more in the next segment, but like I think this is a chance where you, rather than play for the postseason, you kind of give these guys a shot to. You give Roddy, you give Santi, you give Z, you give these guys a shot to see what they got, see what you have as a team. I don't think we should tank. Do not think we should tank. I hate that word. I don't think these guys have it in them to tank. But I do think this is when you see what you got. Test your. I don't want to say test your lineups out. We just got done talking yesterday about lineups and how confusing and frustrated we get. But like, this is the time of year where you see what like. This is going to be a lot of the same team you have next year. See what you got. See what you got in these guys. Like, don't go into next season half-cocked, not knowing what you got.
See, I think that if a lot of these guys are still on your team next season, I think you have not completed a good offseason or the rest of the year. If you have a lot of the same guys still on this team as you did this year, I think it will be a massive failure. If you start
not the young guys. I'm
talking about even the young guys. If Jake LaRavia,
they should be gone.
Well, I'm just saying, like you have everybody but the big three and Vince Williams and maybe Marcus Smart, right? Unless you get a good deal for Marcus Smart. Like everybody else is on the table. Go out and do what you got to get. So I think if this team looks largely the same from top to bottom as it does, next year as it does this year, it will be a massive failure from the front office because, quite frankly, you've seen what you have and a lot of the guys already. You know what you're getting when some of these lineups. So like nothing on that part has changed at all. And it's not going to change. You might get some more development out of them. You might see a little bit more, could you see past the bad into the good eventually, right? But like you kind of know where you're at, right? So I think especially now you're a month away from the trade deadline. If they continue to operate how they are now next season, like I said, it will be a massive failure.
They need to make a move still. I think this trade deadline. Like for me, there's 5 dudes, and I think somebody might have just said exactly who I was thinking Braxton. Shout out to Braxton. Those are the dudes who I'm not touching. Dez, I'm not touching Ja. I'm not touching Tripp. I'm not touching Vince. I'm not touching Santi. Those are the 5 dudes that I think. And you know what? Even Marcus though, man. Those 5 dudes are safe. I think that what you got in those 5 guys, and I would head into those with those 5 guys in my rotation next year. I like Luke, but I see what you're saying. Like Luke should be on the table, Marcus should be on the table, Steve-O should be on the table. Like these, because these are all contracts that teams would want, right? Like these are contracts that's money. That's like salary filler, and the other 5 though, the contracts are too good. I just think that we got to stick with those other 5.
I will say that. What I mean is that I mean that, like, for me, the only people that are not off the table are Jaren and Dez, and only Vince is in that category only because you'll get a team-friendly deal from him, right?
Yes.
You're going to be able to lock him up for 4 years on a really good deal. And we were actually talking about this in the Discord last night, what we think he's going to get. I suspect he'll somewhere be around, $3 to $5 million a year over 4 years. And
20,
in a
20
couple
million.
years, in a couple years, that will look like, $2 million a year because of the cap
The
raise.
cap.
So I only put Vince in that category simply because of the deal he's going to get. The deal that he's going to get will be such a good value for the what you're going to get out of him. For me, I like Santi, I like Luke, I like Marcus, but those are not guys that I'm like, hey, you can't have. Like, those are not guys I'm starting the conversation with a no on. Those are guys I'm starting to conversation. Well, what do you want for them? Kind of deal. And you have to, those are guys that you'll tread lightly. Like, you want to make sure it's a good deal. Like, they just paid 2 firsts for Marcus Smart. You think they're really going to let him go for nothing? Like that's the kind of stuff that I'm saying. Those guys are not like, we're going to ship them off, but they're not unavailable either,
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that they gotta, they're not going to do anything right now for the record. They're going to, they're going to see what they look like without Ja. I think that they're not gonna look, go out and lose on purpose. They're not even going to play I think for the next week or so, you will see them play kind of the lineups you saw them play against the Suns. They'll see them play 8 dudes to 37 minutes a piece, or whatever it is, because they're going to see, can they still compete? Because this is a team of guys that still want to compete.
Yes.
And until they figure out that they can't, right? Then I think maybe that changes. But what I do think it opens up trades that you may have not done this year. Yeah. Because the trades were, good for this year. Now you may looking at trades that make you better next year, but maybe aren't so good this year, like taking on some bad salary or whatever it is to facilitate maybe some other bigger team trades, 3-team trades, like we talked about yesterday. That is, I think, where they will that is the most likely path forward for them over the next few weeks, and then going into the trade deadline. But I think it opens up trades you would not normally been not able to do, but not willing to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think not being able to actually, like, now not being able to actually compete for a title this year, I think it changes the timeline on Kennard. I think it makes Kennard immediately more tradable. Just with that option, I think that he might have. I think that he may have been a bit more safer if we knew if we were like, okay, we stand a realistic shot at making the postseason. But now with that gone, with that team option next year, that contract is also, like, all of a sudden really, really appealing, I guess. If I were like, that's a much easier trade chip now.
Well, for sure. I mean, the team options are always going to be good trade chips because, again, you get the flexibility of trying a guy out, right? And it's because it's not expiring, get a guy flexibility trying a guy out, but also moving on from him if you don't like them. Daniel said he wondered if he knows about the severity of Ja's injury prior to the Phoenix game. If the team knew, I don't think so. I really don't, because Ja was bouncing around at the Phoenix game after that game. Like I think they genuinely thought it was just sore, right? And then you get an MRI just to, like, let's just double check this thing. And you're like, oh shit, how did that happen?
How that happened.
I do think that is probably the most ideal course. Braxton asked us, what do you guys think our biggest need for consolidation is, assuming Steven can come back strong? Steven Adams. Again, the biggest problem with this team is the back end of the roster. Is off the bench players, role players. They got 8 wings that can't play. Not really 8, but they got 3 wings that can't play. They need to consolidate their wings from all mediocre to bad wings to one good wing. If I'm asking for consolidation, if I'm just wishing for things, that's what they need to consolidate. That's their biggest need right now. Because if you're assuming you're Steven going to come back healthy, then that solves your center problem right there. Again, the biggest problem for this team is bench wings, or just wings in general. I mean, I would still take a starting wing, but bench wings is your biggest need for this team. But if you can somehow, take Jake LaRavia and Luke and David Roddy or some form of those guys and turn them into a starting caliber wing that creates more offense for you and is still good defensively, then they'll go do that.
Yeah. Well, and it's, Oh man, it's still only 5.5 games back from the play-in. It's really tough for me to realistically like picture the play-in right now. And I mean, and hoping that Steve-O is going to be healthy. I feel like that's also a big assumption, right? Like,
it is a big assumption that Steven's going to be healthy. I mean, we don't know. We assume he's going to until proven otherwise. You said like Brendan Clark. We assume he's going to be healthy until we proven otherwise. Yeah, they're only 5.5 games back from the play-in spot. I still don't think that's a big. I mean, that was an uphill battle with Ja. To be fair,
yeah,
that's a lot of games, right? And a lot of games with a lot of teams in front of you who I think could be good. I mean, could be, I don't know, could be good, could be bad. So it's all relative right now. And like I said, I think they will continue to try to be competitive over the next few games because they will continue to see what they have, right, with the team that's on the court. And so, I played well on Sunday without Ja, but that's one game. That's one game. Ja Morant's still a superstar. Like, if you could have superstars, I would definitely take them for sure. And so that's kind of the problem with it is you saw that in the first 25 games where you needed someone to go get a basket. And so that's where you miss Ja Morant. And he also just makes everybody better, right? Like, he makes Zaire Williams better. He makes Santi better. Like, playing with those guys, he makes them better, creates shots for them.
Yeah.
And that's what they're sorely missing right now. So, if I were the Grizzlies in terms of trades this year, if they could find a decent backup point guard and maybe ship Rose out, I would definitely try to do that. Because Rose is never going to play, man. It's just not.
Seems like he's done. Not. He can't stay healthy. His body's giving up on him.
Yeah. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about some positive things on the other side of the break. What's some silver linings, if there are any? I don't know if there are, but we'll find them during the break, during this 2-minute commercial. We'll find them during the break and we'll let you know.
I am highly upset, man.
Oh, man.
ESPN, you dastardly dogs you. Last week had us feeling good. They picked the Grizzlies to be first in the West with about 48.5 wins. And what a difference a few days makes.
What a difference.
You put out your list of the top 100 players in the NBA. Desmond Bane jumps in at 61. Jaren Jackson Jr. comes in at number 31. Jaren's top 25 to me, but if you all right, whatever. I think that's a little slight to Jaren. Desmond Baines is disgusting, in my opinion. But then we get Ja Morant, all-NBA player, 2-time All-Star, one of the most dynamic offensively players in the NBA, Ja Morant. That guy was number 35 on their list, Kenny Stubblefield. The same people that said the Grizzlies will be the first team in the West. They're going to get that done with just some regular dudes.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Just curious, you kind of talked about the transfers and things like that. How has that changed your mindset from a roster management standpoint? Like, incredible recruiter. All the classes, I think we had 2 back-to-back and 21 and 22 top classes. How does that change with the transfer portal? Do you start focusing more on upperclassmen? Do you kind of get away from the younger freshmen? How does that work?
Yeah, so I still believe in our coaching staff, the way we do things and developing guys. And that I will never get away from that philosophy. We're still going to recruit a high school class. Now, there's a lot of colleges out there that say, screw this. We're pushing all the chips in on this roster, win right now, and we'll figure it out. Sure. And if it doesn't, right, it implodes and bad things happen. But I think you still have to bring in true freshmen and develop them and see what they can become. And that I'll never waver from that. But the portal certainly changed things.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind, a daily Memphis Grizzlies show right here on Bluff City Media. We promised you silver linings. We will get to them. But first, our shameless promotion time every day. Look, if you're not already a member of Bluff City Media, go do that. You can join as an insider at bluffcitymedia.co/join. It's $5 a month. We get access to our Discord, premium access to all of our insider articles that are behind the paywall. You get access to all our merchandise and our store early for people. We get 20% off merchandise as well all the time. So, like, all great reasons. There are plenty more reasons. They're all listed on the website. Go join. If you can't do that, if you don't have $5, just join. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel. Actually, you should do that anyway because it's free.
Yeah.
It costs you no dollars. But subscribe to the YouTube channel so we can continue to bring great shows like this for you guys every day. So yeah, let's get to those silver linings. We promised the people silver linings. Luke, give us some silver linings.
Silver linings.
Look, we're a positive show here, okay? We're a positive show.
Yeah, positive. One silver lining. The draft pick that we're probably going to get this year is I would say a more attractive asset. At this point, assuming that, not that we're tanking, but assuming that things continue down this path, I'd say we're looking at a bottom 7 draft pick, maybe even a top 5 draft pick. That is a much more attractive asset to trade as opposed to a 12th or 13th overall pick, like right outside the lottery, which I think we probably would have gotten. I don't think this draft is super, GG Jackson was projected to be like a top 5 pick of this draft and he went early. Like, I just don't know how good this draft is, but in terms of the asset, that's another, having a top 5 draft pick is a much more attractive asset than a top 15 draft pick. And I think that would be a silver lining if we wanted to consolidate some dudes, like that draft pick is more valuable now as opposed if we made the plan. So if you wanted to package that draft pick with another draft pick for another guy, I would say that a silver lining is it's maybe worth more to some people now. Another silver lining might be an easy way to advertise guys like Jake LaRavia and David Roddy to other teams and be like, hey, here's what we got. You want these dudes? You want to trade for these guys? We don't have to change our lineups now because all of our good players are hurt, so they can just go in and you can just watch them. Are you interested? That's all I got.
Okay. Well, mine is there are none. No, I'm just kidding. Look, Ja Morant being out sucks. So there's not a whole lot of silver linings here. We're trying our best though. I would say, some things that we kind of mentioned in the first segment is that, in the trade market, it really does open you up to be a facilitator more.
Yes.
When you have no real, like you want to get better, obviously. Right. But a lot of teams, like let's say the Lakers, right? They want to be competitive, right? So they can't really, they have to be careful what they give up and what they get in return. So most GMs, they want to quote unquote win said trade. If we want to get the better of the whatever it is back for what they send out. And so,
yeah.
But when you're a middling team, or when you are a team that has no desire to win or has no ability to win, in the season, that changes things on the trade market and what you're able to do. And so I think, looking out, some things that I think they may have wanted to do before Ja, because they want to be competitive. They want to stay competitive in terms of getting back into the play, and they want to make the playoffs. So they want to try to be that sneaky team. You take that away from them, and that changes things drastically. Then you do, like you said, you do have this draft pick that's probably going to be good. And quite frankly, I would trade it now versus later, because now everybody thinks, well, this is going to be a really good pick, right? The assumption is that it's going to be a great pick. I would either trade it right now, obviously, or I'll wait till you find out what it is, but that changes things in terms of what your facilitation of trades, right? A lot of times you have a third team just to take on the bad salary, take on the bad contract, and you get paid a first round pick in return, or you get paid that player you want in return, right? That one young player you think you have a shot at or think you can develop or things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. That's obviously Ja Morant being out is not great. There's no way around that. But I think it changes the way they have an outlook on the season. And I think, to be honest, I think that's where they were always headed anyway. I didn't really think they could make the play. And I think it's possible, but it would have been very, very uphill climb. So I think having this in front of you to where you it kind of made the decision for you, right? They were already at the crossroads of do we play as hard as we can, make some moves and try to make the playoffs? And if we barely miss it, then we have a bad draft pick, for the most part. Could versus having one in the high tens. And so it just makes the decision for you. That way like this season's kind of over. Not over, but you kind of take a gap year. Come back and retool a little bit for next year for this season. So for me, that's my silver lining. If you want to look at things in a positive manner, that's where I would look for, just in terms of what they might be able to get, because, they needed assets. They need better players. I don't think that with the roster currently as constructed, they were not making any real noise in the playoffs, like with the back half of the rotation. And that's been the problem all year, and will continue to be the problem until they can fix it. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. That's my silver linings.
Those are good. I think it's easier to come up with not silver linings. While you were talking, I was just like, I thought of something else this is a silver lining.
No, it's not.
No. Brandon Clark.
Okay.
Brandon Clark, now he doesn't need to rush his rehab. Like I don't know what they were telling him, but if they were like, hey man, we need you back for a push. Now they can be like, hey bro, take your time. Make sure you are 100% and come back next year ready. Because him unlike Steve-O, like I think BC wants to be with this team and wants to play basketball this year. Steve-O is just all these injuries. I don't know with Steve-O, man. Like I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, you don't got to rush Brandon Clark back. You could get him back at a reasonable time. You still want to get him back this year to get him some time,
some minutes
playing basketball. Just on a real court and real NBA games. But you don't have to get him back right away. You can make sure he is 1,000% ready to go, and there's no need to get him back, like you said. So let's take another quick break. We still got a game tonight. The Grizzlies got to play the Mavericks at the Mavericks tonight. So we'll take another break. We'll preview the game coming up next.
Seth Hennigan just still. He
doesn't look himself.
He just doesn't, in the big moments, he's not making the plays that have to be made. If you look at the raw stats, they're not terrible. But the 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
And he fumbled twice. They didn't lose those fumbles, but 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, one of them coming at a terrible time on a 4th down late in the game when Memphis really needed to put points on the board. But I just don't think Seth is playing well enough to elevate this team.
Right.
I think he's playing well enough for Memphis to be fine. But as far as for them to do something special and to elevate this team, he's just not playing like that.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Kenny, there are certain guys in the NBA that are enigmatic players. They're going to be appealing to a large fan base. But when you have guys like that, who like Ja Morant, who have off-court issues he's had, Kyrie Irving has had the things he's had, the NBA doesn't particularly like the fact that those guys are larger than life. If I'm NBA, if I'm ESPN, who of course are working together on all this stuff, I'm going to start telling you who you need to like. And it's going to be a different type of guy to kind of play off of the guys that are going to be there anyway. Let me put these squeaky clean image guys that we want to put in front of you up there as well to kind of counteract some of the stuff we get with the guys that we don't have any control out of. So let me put the Tyrese Halliburtons in front of you. Let me put the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders in front of you, the Josh Giddeys. Let me force these guys in front of you, not particularly on national television games, but let me just kind of create these little sub agendas with these guys to kind of make them those second tier stars that we're gonna like put out in front as well. Like, they're doing this on purpose, man. Like, if anybody can't see this, like, come on, man. Do not sit there and tell me that you really think that Tyrese Halliburton is a top 20 player in the NBA.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the show. Luke is gone. What happened to Luke?
Right.
I don't know what happened to Luke.
I'm right here.
I looked up. I was trying to make a tweet. I looked up and you were gone. I was like, "What? Welcome back?"
Oh.
I don't know. Did we end the show? I don't know.
I was trying to slide in with music. It failed miserably. It failed really miserably.
You just scared me.
I was trying to slide. It failed.
Yeah. Well, the Grizzlies do have to play a game tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. They are 1-1 against the Mavericks this season. The Dallas Mavericks are on a 3-game win streak. The Grizzlies on a 2-game win streak, right? 2-game win streak.
Yeah.
Dallas Mavericks are 22-15. That's good for 6th in the West. They're a good team.
They're
a very good team. Some silver linings on this game, though. Luka Doncic and Grant Williams are both probable. They are day-to-day on an ankle. Some ankle issues for both those guys both those guys have played every single game for the Dallas Mavericks are both probable. They lost Dante Exum and Derek Lively. They are out for these games. 2 guys who have regular minutes for these guys on a regular rotation. Derek Riley has started like 28 games for them so far this year. So nothing to be, those guys are rotation players for those guys. So I say all that to say maybe we just sit Grant Williams and Luka Doncic, Dallas. We would appreciate that. Maybe we can beat Memphis without those guys. We don't need them.
No.
So the Grizzlies got a tough battle ahead for tonight's game against the Mavericks.
I got a question for you. Do you think with the Ja news, do you think that they just give Dez the green light to just go?
Oh, I think you have to.
I mean, yeah, you have to. Like, could you think he's going to be like? Because I know that the All-Star voting got announced and he wasn't in the top 10, but like, I think he's playing at an All-Star level, and like, if they're just like, here's the keys, man, go. You don't even have to worry about anything anymore. Like, I know it's still probably a long shot since he wasn't in the top 10, but like, a silver lining, I guess I'm piggybacking off the last segment. A silver linings is tonight, Des should go. I mean, it might be the season of Desmond Bane, like the rest of the way.
Yeah, I was wrong when I said they've actually put them 3 times already. They are 1 and 2 against them. So this is the 4th and final time they will play them this season. The last previous 2 games, the last game, Jaren had 41 and Desmond had 28. Jaren had 41 and 4. Desmond had 28. Game previous to that, Desmond had 30. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 4. So not great for either. She's not great for Jaren on that game, but I'll take the 41 and 28. Actually, that's the game they lost when when Jaren had 48 and Desmond had 38 or 28, excuse me, 41 and 28 between those 2 guys. There just wasn't any other points besides those 2 guys, really. But this is the first game they'll play with Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard, kind of a bigger rotation back with the emergence of Vince Williams. I know Vince Williams played Luka really well last time. So they had that there. So, look, I'm not writing this game off as a loss right now. I'm really not. No. I mean, I really will be curious to see what happens with Luka Doncic and Grant Williams if they decide if they can play. If they can't play, I think the chances shoot up a ton. If they still go, I think because that allows you to put Vince Williams on Kyrie Irving or Tim Hardaway Jr. And so even though they're still bringing Tim Hardaway Jr. off the bench, I really want to see the Grizzlies start a 4 kind of wing guard and Jaren and just go super small. That worked really well on the Suns. I think they still have to just continue to. I would say this: if they don't start that lineup, I just don't understand what they're doing. Like, I don't know how you can look at the Suns and understand that lineup, that kind of 4, even though it was Zaire, but that 4 kind of wing guard lineup plus Jaren at the center. That's what won you the game, right? That's what won you the game. And if you can't see that for the Grizzlies, I don't know how to help you. Okay.
Well, who's their big? With Lively out, who's their big? Do they even have size? I mean, does Dallas have size? If they don't have size, they got to play that small ball lineup. They have to.
Yeah, I mean, they also lock. I mean, Max Kleber has not been. He's on the roster, but he hasn't played all year long. Dwight Powell, maybe. He's your only size. He's only started 5 games, but he's played 34 games, and he's averaging 15 minutes a game. So, that's probably your next best. Like I said, Derek Jones is on there as well, though he's not super big. He's kind of big. He's our power forward.
Big-ish.
Big-ish. So, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, with Lively out, I mean, you especially if they're going to have guys that are hurt, you got to go. You got to play your best lineup. But I don't even care, even if nobody's hurt. Even if they have you got to play your best lineup. And you got to play your best and see what happens. And so, good news is that they are 20th out of the 30th, and so bottom tier in letting points in right now. So they're like let 116 points in per game. Bad news is they're 7th in the league in points per game to score. They score 119 per game. So, they don't really like to play defense, but they're a will score more than you type of team. And as we've seen before, that doesn't really work for the Grizzlies.
No, it does not. Like if they can. I think the last game we played them, we won, right? When because Luka had his baby, it's the only game that he.
Yes.
So if we can play like that and just clamp Kyrie down, it's funny how I still think we can win this with the news about Ja. Like if TJ plays like we played the Suns, we should, knock on wood, should win this. But
well, I mean, you also have Marcus Smart this time around, right? So you have Marcus Smart and Vince to put on. If you start Vince, you could put those guys on Kyrie and Luka if he plays respectively.
Or Hardaway, you put one of them on Hardaway.
Well, he comes off the bench, so if he comes off the bench, maybe you keep
yeah.
Vince Williams off the bench to try to match minutes, right? I mean, and then the Vince closes as well. You could do that, and that put Marcus Smart on Kyrie Irving. So that's why I think maybe watch and see what they do in terms of their starting lineup, but. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. I hope we win. I hope we're talking tomorrow and we're happy.
I mean, I'm going to be happy no matter what, I think.
Yeah, we'll be happy. It's just smiling.
Yeah, I think I'll be smiling. I'm not sure. I mean, the Grizzlies will definitely, when the Grizzlies win, it definitely makes me happier.
Yes.
But I'm not a guy that walks around and is upset about how his team plays.
That's true. Well, I mean, good God, dude. Some of the people you would have thought people were losing loved ones the way they were reacting last night. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I've come a long way in my fan
in your fandom
and my sports fan. I don't really like that. I don't really get down by that kind of stuff anymore. I don't really care because it's lose. It's a long season, so but I digress. Hopefully tomorrow we are a little happier about a Grizzlies win. That it will be. That's what we hope for, and it will be interesting to see what they do tonight and how they play. Lineup wise, coming off that Suns had some different lineups there too. So that's going to be it for us today. That's going to be it for the show of the Daily Grind. We'll see you guys tomorrow back here, right here at 9:00. Again, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel over at Bluff City Media, make sure you go and do so. Check out the post-game show tonight with Daniel and Nate. Like always, after every single game, shout out to those guys. They got to still do like 46 more post-game shows without Ja Morant. We got to do a show every day without Ja Morant. We're out here doing the hard stuff for you guys. So go check out the post game show tonight. It's a very interactive show. They take your comments, questions, and put them up on the screen and talk about them right there live for you guys. So it's always fun, no matter what, even after a loss. So go check that out, and we will see you guys back here tomorrow.